got a new tune, even though I think you're going to hear it on our other episode.
We got some new intro music.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for joining us. We're the Grieving Sisters. I'm Jessica.
I'm Elizabeth.
And we're just so 45th episode. We're coaching up.
5 of these joints are.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Steve. You see, look at this.
And you don't only get 2 ladies here today. You get 4.
Four hotties.
You got 2 hotties today. You got 4 hotties today. So we have co-hosts. We have Cait and Alyssa from Growing Up Grieving. They open up about what it means to grow up surrounded by illness, loss, and the constant fear of what's next. From childhood experiences with chronic illness to losing their parents and siblings, their stories reveal the lifelong ripple effects of grief and powerful ways that family bonds can hold us through it all. Together, they share how grief shapes identities, relationships, and their understanding of love through their honest conversations. They remind us that grief is not just something to endure, it's something that can teach, connect, and even transform. I mean, these are girls after our own heart.
Yes, and they have their own podcast, and obviously we're going to put all your tags in. We're going to do all of this. But girls, introduce yourselves. They're not even from Jersey, but they love us, and we love them already.
Yeah.
They were
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire and Cali.
I wish I was in Cali.
Wait, I thought you were in Cali, Cait.
I'm in Massachusetts.
You're in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
there you go. Oh,
but
real
Alyssa's
New England.
in New Hampshire. Yeah.
There you go.
We're very close to each other. Like we're 25-minute drive.
Well, yeah, we're like 4
What part
hours.
of Massachusetts are you in?
We're both in like the Northeast. I'm in the northest part. I'm 10 minutes away from New Hampshire.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
On the
yeah.
coast. Yeah. And then
So you're like 5 hours away.
yeah,
Jersey.
honestly though, yeah. I mean, we drive. My family drives to Florida all the time, so we drive through Jersey. Like
Ooh.
that's my experience with it.
You have to stop by the Whitney exit, the Whitney Houston exit. I forget. I think it's 14 or if it's 12, and they have a Whitney Houston rest stop.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. That makes me want to go though.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
Tell our audience about you girls. Go ahead. You could. I mean, obviously you have your own podcast. You already know what to do. But
I know it's funny to be on the other end of it though.
Right. Absolutely.
It's so strange to be on the other side. But yeah, I guess I'll go first. So I'm Cait Medugno, and Alyssa and I are cousins, and I started this podcast. Yeah, we're first cousins.
Love
Our
that.
moms were sisters. They were 4 of 4 girls, and yeah. So I started the first season in 2024. So basically last year, last July is when the first season aired, and it got started just 2 weeks after my dad died. I started the Instagram for Growing Up Grieving because I was inspired by Mel Robbins' podcast because she had an episode about just do it, just start the social media. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. But before that, my mom had died. I think it was 6 years ago at the time. It's 8 years now, and so I was just looking for something that, like most of us grieving, I was looking for something in some place that I could feel inclusive and included, and talk about my experience and just like the hell of grief, basically. So I started podcasting, and basically the first season of anything is going to be horrible, right? I shouldn't be saying that, but
it's not horrible. It's a learning. It's all learning curves.
Exactly.
That's it.
I learned a lot. And, my sister Rachel was supposed to be my co-host last season in the first season. But her husband got diagnosed with cancer, and he actually just passed away this past April. It just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, so sorry.
Thank you very much. But yeah, I just got inspired. I wanted to talk about the grief and just everything, and find a place I could safely do that, and to bring in my funniness and my humor and everything with it too. And so I was talking to Alyssa earlier this year, and I was like, I want to do season 2. Will you be my co-host?
I love it.
and she was like, yes. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Alyssa, if you want to, this might be a good segue for you to just kind of pipe in about yourself.
There you go.
Yeah. So I was so excited and honored when Cait asked me to join her. Very nervous also as well. But
you girls are pros. You sound so good.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, we have to work out. You have to shake off the nervous energy. You know, but yeah. And then or have a drink. You know,
There you go.
Whatever
No,
gets you through.
but
That's it.
yeah. So I'm Alyssa Shepard. I have two significant losses that I think we'll touch base on today. One was my brother Josh, who died of complications of brain hypoxia after a toy box accident. And then, you know, he lived for 8 years post-accident and passed at age 10. And then the other significant loss was my mother, who passed several years after being diagnosed with Parkinson's. So yeah, so that's kind of that's all
How
my
you
grief.
started.
And yeah, that's how we kind of transitioned into you know, doing the podcast together, and Cait invited me on this journey, and yeah, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah,
know?
we're so happy that you're here with us, and thank you for sharing like such. That's super vulnerable. And now it's like the both sisters are past and they're with each other.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Oh
Yeah.
wow, I didn't
All,
know that.
actually, all four of them. In the last decade, all of the sisters passed. My mom was the first, and she
Wow.
was the youngest. Was
Wow.
Diane the last? Alyssa? Or was it
Carol.
It was Carol.
Aunt Carol was the last.
Yeah. So
Wow.
all of them are all in heaven. It's wild, and just thinking of loss again. The last 10 years, both my parents passed. I had a set of grandparents who passed. All of the aunts, and my
Wow.
brother-in-law. And so, yeah, we know a thing or two about
Sure.
loss.
Yeah.
We don't want to, but we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a club that nobody wants to be a
No,
part of,
nobody
you
wants to
know?
be in that.
But I do think that with every single loss, aside from having compounded grief, because a lot
Right.
of times you're not really through the woods on
Yeah.
what you're healing from with
Right.
some loss, and then you have more grief and you have some more compounded loss. I do think that there's learning that comes from each loss.
Right.
And one of our goals is to have good practices while you're grieving, and then you can always take that with you into your next loss or your next
Yeah.
set of triggers that happen.
Right. And then also like just to give our audience the wisdom, right? Because they say like with experience, you're supposed to give, that's that's the gratitude that you're supposed to give the wisdom back. Alyssa, you had mentioned that you lost your older brother. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because especially with sibling grief as well, I lost my little brother. I don't know if you ladies had a chance to even go over this. This is how we started, because of our sibling loss. And we've known each other since the 5th grade. So we have so much history. I know we don't look that old, but
I know. Us either, right?
Well, we don't either, I'm sure.
We're
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's great.
gracefully.
Yeah, I'm still a junior in high school. I don't know what you're talking about. I wish we were, right?
Same.
Imagine. Go ahead, Alyssa.
Yeah. So with Josh, I was so young. I actually don't have memories of him. And I think because of that, people might perceive that loss to be less impactful. But quite honestly, that loss was a huge component of my character development from a young age.
Right.
The grief is so multifaceted. Since I can remember, there was like a sadness because he was missing. There was a lot of grieving the brother and the life that I could have had, as we all do when we're grieving anyone, right? It's like,
Right.
you're also grieving that what's to come, the grief of
Right.
what's to come, right? And that, it had a huge influence on my entire family. It had a huge influence on the way that my parents parented, right?
I was just thinking of that as you were saying that.
Yeah. I mean, they
Do they
were,
do you feel like they were on top of you even more?
oh
You were
yeah.
in
Oh
bubble.
yeah. Yeah. They were on top of, I think with my mom, it was like she wanted to be in control because she had lost a son, right?
Yeah.
So, and any time I think that she felt out of control, it was very triggering for her. It was post-traumatic stress from the loss of my brother. So yeah, I mean, it impacted everything
Sure.
And from a young age, I didn't really, it made me hyper intuitive about like how I made people feel, right?
Mm.
Like just being able to read people's emotions. I think, the little things like when you're in kindergarten and they're like, how many pets do you have? How many siblings do you have? Like
Oh,
that question was so stress inducing for me. And I was so young and I didn't understand it. And I
right.
never, there wasn't really an open dialogue like, this is the best way to answer this question. My parents didn't have those conversations for me. So I was kind of just a lone wolf, little 5, 6, 7 years old, trying to,
Yeah, you don't
um,
really know.
yeah, like acknowledging that my story was different than everyone else's and
Right.
also seeing how that made other people feel. You guys kind of talk about like performing and
Hmm.
I talk a lot about like filtering. Like I just filtered myself my whole life because flip-flop between like I have 2 brothers to I have 1 brother. So
Right.
yeah, it was hugely impactful. You know and there are just so many layers to it.
Yeah. And then, Kate, you talked about grieving your mom long before she passed. How does the anticipatory grief show up day to day for you?
Yeah. Um, I honestly came out of the womb with a sick mother. She was sick before she had me, and she was
Oh,
advised to not have children. After my 2 oldest sisters were born, she had over her lifetime, she had 2 kidney transplants, open heart surgery. She's, you know, one of my aunts, one of our aunts, gave my mother her first kidney, and her son, my cousin Timmy, gave her the second one like 10 years later. So I had these big, huge, crazy illness, and I always knew that time was borrowed with
mhm.
her, and multiple scares over the lifetime. She almost didn't make it to my graduation because she had open heart surgery and stuff, which is obviously very important. But I
Yeah.
remember being like, there just being like, is she going to make it? Like, we had to find out if there was a bathroom there. But I digressed. It was a lot of sickness growing up. I was always just afraid. And honestly, like I'm still that person today.
Right.
I have
Like
children
a
of
health
my own.
anxiety almost.
Yeah, it's super anxiety ridden. I've tried to embrace that part of me to think like, okay, this is what's given me like such a big heart
Sure.
and a hell of a lot of humor. My mother was hilarious and was like a clown. She would always just laugh and make people laugh. So I try to like bring that into it, but it's scary when your core people have the possibility to leave, and when that day finally came in 2017 with my mother, I was like, oh, like, okay, like
This
this
is it.
is the worst thing ever, and it's never what you imagine it to be either. But I honestly say that I grew up grieving because I just
Yeah.
always knew that she was going to die, and we
It's
did
just
have
when.
illnesses when I was younger, you
Right.
know. But yeah, it really made me a scaredy cat. Made me a
Yeah,
scaredy cat
sure.
and be
You're like,
afraid.
when? When is it? When is
Yeah,
like that gasp, that
you
gasp
just
there, like,
know.
when is it gonna happen? When are you gonna get that call? Like, that's very anxiety inducing.
Yeah,
It's so
I'm always
interesting.
afraid like I'm gonna get a call and like, oh, someone's out and is in a ditch dying somewhere because you just don't.
Especially tragically, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think with
Yeah,
me and Liz, it's like we both had it tragic.
It's just was like an out of nowhere 2 freak accidents. Like,
Yeah.
what?
and that's what you're
Yeah.
afraid of, right?
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing that you could imagine is what you always go to, right?
That's it. I
Um,
feel like sometimes we also manifest that. When you start to think about it, and if you don't stop the spiraling, I'm sorry, I'm getting into therapy mode.
no, it's
You're
Because
true
like,
though.
like,
You
I'm
do have to stop
spiraling.
it.
and
You
you
do.
have to stop the ruminating because like you're just sitting there and then now you're like spiraling out of control. Like, okay, now I'm sitting here with no limbs. Like, what am I doing? Like you just
Yeah.
turn into this like big ball. It's just like just going downhill, and it's like that's
Yeah.
not something, just to live by, right? Like you gotta,
Right.
they always say, especially when Miguel was here. So we had someone who was, he's like a meditation guru and, the grief is held in the lungs. So they're saying like, we got to learn how to breathe so that we don't have these anxieties. And once we're having more control over our breath, we're able to have control over our thoughts. And then like all of a sudden you're like, what the hell was I thinking about?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Control your breathing, and it can kind of like segue your thoughts from being so destructive. You
Yeah.
know, as you guys were talking, it's so interesting to me because I feel like I'm looking at both of my kids with two different scenarios. Like
Really?
my son, I'm like helicopter parenting him. He's 15 years old.
I have a
always think
14-year-old.
something's terrible. I'm like very like I spoke to his dad, and his dad was like, "Hey, at 15, I would go outside. You know, like you
Yeah.
have to like, well, what's an appropriate curfew?" But we had the whole curfew talk yesterday because I'm so afraid something's gonna happen. Like I don't want him crossing the street at night. I'm not gonna be able to do that for the
Yeah.
rest of his life. I can't say
So
you can
true.
only cross the street during daytime, you know? So
And please,
I'm
what the heck were we doing at 15?
girl.
I
Oh my
know.
God, I know.
That's
I
exactly
know.
why
I-
I'm afraid. Yeah.
I've always been a helicopter parent, and my sister, God rest her soul, she used to tell my kids everything.
She
Yeah.
drimed it?
Your mother this, your mother that, your mother this.
Oh.
So when I tried to have the curfew, they were like, "Mommy, you stuck out of the house because Tita told me that you stuck out of the house and you took her with you." And da, 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 da. And I'm like,
Enough.
okay, listen, I
She's-
could.
I love that.
So
That was
now
perfect.
they're like, now they know. Like my sister used to always tell them, like, your mom, because you know how it is. You know how you were growing up.
You
God,
know,
yeah.
we all had teenage
Kids,
years.
You have this like picture perfect. They have this image of you. We were just talking about this with my own mother a couple
Yeah.
minutes ago. We have this image of our parents. And so they started learning, like, you know, I got in a little trouble here and there, went out, you know, like broke curfew, broke some of the rules. And
Smoked
so,
a little pot.
well, maybe.
Yep.
Kate
Right.
would never.
I would
Right.
never do that.
Never.
I would
Not
never
yet.
do that. I was a
But I-
wonderful
I do-
student.
I
and
definitely see. I
abiding
definitely
citizen.
see how
Yes.
my kid is feeling like overparented because
yeah.
I'm like we're all conditioned to feel like from one moment to the next you get a phone call and somebody passed in a car accident. You know,
Yeah.
so there's all this anxiety about driving and whose car are you in,
Right.
and
Oh, yeah.
even when it comes to Ubers, like you don't
You
know,
don't know.
if you're safe. You know, like. So there's all these things. So I think this is a good learning for me to kind of like take a step back and not
Yeah. I have to check
one,
myself.
Yeah.
like kind of do that. And then on the other end, the anxiety of like anticipating something happen. I do feel like my daughter feels like what's next,
Yeah.
you know, because it was like we lost two people in that accident. My sister and her husband both died. And he was huge to my kids. He was a huge role model, 30 years in the Navy, great guy, nice guy, super warm to them. You know, was like a big influence. They both were huge influences in their lives, especially for my son, because we don't have a lot of boys in my family.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, oh my God, my aunt, my favorite person in the family, married this guy. And so, but my daughter has said a couple of times, like, I kind of feel like I'm always like waiting for the next thing to happen.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's like you have to kind of all these ways that we need to learn and teach other people. Like you can have anticipatory grief without like missing out on living.
Yeah.
You know?
Like finding that joy.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? That was one of our other questions too, was like, what did you both learn about grief? Like, can you guys dabble a little bit into that?
Like bigger takeaways from your experiences with grief.
Grief is tough. I think that one of the things that I learned about grief is that it's just so intricately tied to life, like, which obviously makes sense when you really think about it, life and death, right? But I kind of really, when my mom died, I took a few years of, you know, going insane. And then when I kind of decided, oh, you know what, maybe I shouldn't live like this anymore, I, you know, started to do some healing, what I call healing, you know, and to really do some shadow work and look at myself. So it's a combination of grief, but also living life. And you can, like I think you had alluded to earlier too, you know, you can bring them into both worlds. They are essentially in the same world, you know?
Right.
But I didn't think I realized that doing this grief work I would be doing life work.
Yes.
I had no idea. And that's truly what the podcast has given me a voice to be able to do. And even, you know, working with Alyssa and just unlocking different parts of yourself. But you have to do the work in order to, you know, to get there. And that
Right.
means enduring hard times and feeling all of those horrible feelings, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Alyssa?
Yeah. I mean, grief, I think that, losing my mom like radically changed my perspective on how important my own energy is. Um, it really like gave me the opportunity to, give my energy to people with intention, right? And to
Yeah.
and to be present and to, take care of myself, like a lot of self-love. I'm a people pleaser.
Mm.
Um, hey,
I'm with you.
hey,
I heard it.
listen,
I see it. I feel it. I
you
feel
know,
seen.
and like the biggest thing, to help me heal was really prioritizing myself and
Right.
creating boundaries and saying, no, I can't do this, or like, I don't even know, just anything, just being able to say no,
Yeah.
without
And to
feeling
be
guilt.
honest, yeah,
And
Yeah.
and to be honest, like
no is a complete
there's
sentence.
there's been so many
Yes.
like birthday dinners or celebrations where
Mm.
I've said, look, I know I'm grieving. Still invite me to stuff. If I feel up for it, I'll go. And if not, I'll tell you. And I've had honest moments with people and said, and I've said, like, listen, I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate your birthday. A birthday is something that
Mm.
you should be celebrating. My sister only got 37 of them.
Right.
Like, I want to celebrate with you.
Even me.
Right.
Even me.
Can we please celebrate one-on-one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
yeah,
nice.
we did that,
Yep.
right? Where I was
Yeah.
like, I can't be around a room full of people. Like,
Yeah.
I want to celebrate you like one-on-one.
Right.
Let's do a dinner, let's do a drink, let's do a meetup, let's do something. I have a gift for you. But it has to be one-on-one because me having to like talk to all these people, one, I don't have the social battery for it or the emotional capacity to. Also, everybody around mutual friends know what we're going through.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if today I'm going to react and say, well, today's the first day I've took a shower in 3
Right.
days, or it was hard for me to brush my teeth today, or I'm really sad. It's going to cause me to mask how I'm feeling to be
Right.
around this big circle of people. So I'd rather be more genuine to myself and to you as my friend and spend time with you one-on-one.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Cait and I always said, like, if they don't understand when if you have to cancel plans, then they're not your people.
They're not your
Like,
people.
you know what
That's
I
it.
mean?
That's
Because
it.
we're like so heartbroken and mourning and like,
And some
in,
days are worse than others
oh
versus
God,
better
yeah.
than others, you know?
It can
And if
change
you
in like a
don't
second.
understand us,
Yes.
if you don't, and let me say this, if you don't understand us, you are blessed because it
Right.
means
Yeah.
that you have not had the loss
Yet.
that we've had yet.
Yet.
One, start do some
Right.
learning.
Right.
And two, God bless you that you
Right.
don't know what it feels like to be 1 minute to the next like this. And it's okay if you don't understand, but know that it is such a privilege to not know what it
Right.
feels like. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like I overheard somebody be like, oh, this person lost their sister. It wasn't about me. It was about, and it was like, oh, but it took over her life, or this
Mm.
loss becomes your identity, or
Right.
it does. It very
Right.
well
Right. Right.
does. If you've loved that deeply, it does. Like, oh, I'm sorry that me losing my sister became my whole identity. How could it not?
Right.
Well, right.
Yeah.
She's part of my identity. Where you saw me, you saw her. We were best
Right.
friends. We were close. We were all of my friends knew her. Like, she was such a big part of my life. Like, she was part of my identity when she was alive. So when she's not here, she's not
I
gonna be part of my
wonder,
identity. That's very strange.
and I'm going to ask you girls because I feel like even though like, we kind of said like just for the audience, like we try not to ask questions and sidetrack people or like catch them off guard. But I do have a question for you girls because we're going in that direction. Have you ever dealt with people who didn't support you or didn't understand? Like for me, I'll give a good example that, somebody that was supposed to be my best friend for 20 years. And she was just like, well, kind of like, well, death is the inevitable. And I'm like 7 months into grieving my brother. And I'm just kind of like, you have a brother, you have a mother, you have a father, you have a son, like this,
Right.
you're going to feel this one day or another.
Right.
Just have a little bit of compassion. And she didn't. And then it was like 9 months into my grieving and she turned around and was just like, well, you're on a different journey than I am. I'm on a different journey. I'm like, well, you go ahead, girl. Like, I'm going to go to therapy. I'm really going to do some real deep healing and good work, whatever. But did you ever like, cause like, we also just to add in like the social media stuff, like, oh, what happened? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, was there
Yeah.
anything that was just like
Any shockers? from
Yeah,
people who
yeah.
are
I
around
didn't
you?
have any like shockers, but I will say that, in regards to my dad, because I started the podcast,
Sure.
relatively fast after he died. And again, I started the social media first. So I started posting and making videos and talking about my grief. I think I posted one of the first things I ever did on Instagram was a photo of me at the with 3-day-old makeup on from my dad's funeral,
Yeah.
and I'm recording. So like I did hear from some people who just didn't really understand, like, why are you doing that? Why are you putting everything out there so public? I don't want to
That's
say anything, like who
shame-based.
they are or anything, but I've had
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
conversations with people, and then they're like, well, same thing. Death is a part of, like, it is, but you have not experienced what I have experienced.
There's no
And
rhyme or reason to grieving.
yeah, exactly. Like, I have every right to talk about this, and I haven't stopped. I just
Right.
posted the other day with like my 500th post on Instagram. So
Oh, good
like,
for you. I
yeah,
didn't even
like
see
a
that.
lot of things. Yeah, like that's a lot of grief, right?
Absolutely.
But like you said, it does
Absolutely.
become a part of you, and I actually embrace it. Like
Yes.
it was horrible. Trust me, nobody wants this, but like
No.
I love it. I love when I am reminded of my parents or anybody that I've lost. I think it's a gift. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, people always say, well, there was you who was before grief, and then there's you after grief. You know what I
And they
mean?
don't like the
And,
new you.
and
No.
if they don't like the new you,
Mhm.
then, they don't deserve to sit at your table, right? And
Absolutely.
I mean, there are definitely people who I thought would show up more who didn't.
Expectations.
Right? Expectations. But also, I think that my expectations changed. Like the people that I invited into my space changed. It wasn't
Sure.
really that anybody let me down. It was more that my expectations for what I deserve. And, I want to give as much love as I receive. And if somebody has lost somebody, I'm going to show up for them. So I want the same people to show up for me. Right.
100%.
So it was more like, a change in my perspective of people and relationships, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. When the situation happened with Liz, I said, listen, I not that I'm a pro or anything like that, but I'm 6 years in,
Yeah.
from losing my sibling. She's just about to reach her year. I'm about to reach my year with my dad. And I said to her, I said, there's going to be people that are really going to show their faces,
Yeah, I
and they're
remember.
going to show it really, like they're going to unveil themselves, and you're going to be
Pretty
like,
quickly.
yeah. And you're going to be like, wait, I thought you were like a different person, but were you just around
Well, what's so
beneficial?
interesting
Right.
too.
For the
It's
good times, the
because-
good time
Right. For the
gals.
good times. Let's party. Let's get wasted
Well,
and all
that's
this
the
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that me and you were never like bookworms.
No.
And my mom's a librarian. I am a reader.
Yeah,
What I
same.
mean- what I mean is like
We're
you're
still
life
talking
of
about
the party.
Yes.
I was life of the party. You're a jokester. I'm a jokester. We have
Mhm.
really big personalities.
Yes.
So I also feel like when things like this happen,
They don't know
and
what
you
to do.
Completely shift. They're like, I'm
Well-
so used to hanging out with Liz and Jess, and they're joking and being funny and being
Mhm.
crazy, and like,
She's no
we
fun
would have
now. Right.
right.
Yeah.
We may have a couple of drinks, and I may be dancing 1 minute and the next minute crying,
Mhm.
and like the people who like a year later, the people who are around me, I host all the time. I love to have people in my house. I love to have people over.
Sure.
The people who are around know that I'm gonna walk over to my sister's picture. I'm gonna pour her a drink. I'm
Yes.
gonna cry. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna pour
Yep.
a shot. It's like you're gonna see me go through this roller coaster
Right.
over and over again. And some of my friends cry with me.
Right.
Like, oh, bitch, you're gonna make me cry. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, cry, get it out. Let's order
I
a
know.
No.
and those are the
Yep.
people that just build this beautiful circle in your community. It's the people who totally understand. If you cannot have a friend cry around you,
Yeah.
you need to look internally.
Yeah.
It's
All I do
not
is
that
cry.
your
I
grief.
cry and laugh. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
need to be able to do both of those things.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just to and I wanted to ask you ladies too, like for the listeners who are growing up grieving, like right now, what's one piece of advice that you want to leave with them?
It's always so hard, right? Because like what's the one
We can
piece
go
of
on
advice?
forever.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I always just say like it's the cliche, feel it to heal it, but it really is so true. Like, you're feeling these emotions for a reason. You're going through something horrifically horrible, like you're going to be sad and it's okay. Try to find comfort in small things and, do whatever you can do to make yourself feel better as long as it's not destructive,
Right.
It's hard because everybody's different and what people find comforting is different. And, so in essence, it's a roller coaster. We've heard that before too, but just buckle up. It's not really that good advice.
Yeah,
I know.
It's like mean advice.
I
Yeah.
love
Like,
that. Well, that's your
yeah.
little slogan. Girl, niche that. Let's
You
get
gotta
it.
talk about it
Ooh.
too. You gotta speak it. We
Yes.
say that, obviously. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. And what about you, Alyssa?
Yeah, I just think grief can feel so lonely. I think I just want people to know there are so many resources out there to help you heal. You don't have to do it alone. Cait and I, we respond to every DM. We respond to every comment, and I think it's just important to acknowledge that it's not easy and that's okay. And, you can find a community. You have a community with us. With you girls,
I was just about to say, we are the community,
Yeah,
baby. You don't
baby.
want to join us?
I love
mean,
it.
It's not supposed to be this fun, but
I know.
I know, but it is fun though.
But
When you
it's
meet
the
people you
common
click with.
thread.
Yeah.
That's the common thread with all of us. And Jess has said that when she came up with the idea for this podcast, she said, like, I don't want it to be doom and gloom.
yeah.
I don't want it to be doom and gloom. Like, we have to let our personalities be out there. We, joke, be funny,
Right.
like, it's because what is it? I saw it the other day on Instagram. It said, micro joy is how you deal with macro grief.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Find this
Yes.
little
All the little
that
wins.
The little glimmers.
Yes.
Thank
the
you.
glimmers.
The glimmers.
I love that.
I love that. Yes.
Amazing episode. Thank you so much.
Thank
for having
you.
me
Where
on.
can our audience find you, girls?
Plug, plug,
We are
plug.
on
Plug, plug, plug.
Spotify. Growing Up Grieving
Yes.
podcast. We're on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We do
Sound like
post
us.
a few things up on the YouTube, but not a ton. I'm bad at that. But also, obviously, we're on Instagram and Facebook too. Oh, and TikTok.
TikTok.
So we're on the
There you
socials.
go.
And yeah,
I love it, right? Steve's so good with
I know.
this.
I love that.
So fun.
it is
Yeah.
fun.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank
And
you,
listeners,
girls.
Now you have 2 more friends.
Yes.
I love it.
Like you said, when, look for resources, you've got 2 new resources down here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you
thank
guys
you
so
so
much
much.
for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.